Today is Tuesday of the Holy Week. My dear friends, we are now journeying into the mystery of the Paschal celebration of life. And the readings today, the first reading taken from the book of Isaiah the prophet, chapter 49, verses 1 to 6, as well as the gospel passage, John chapter 13, verses 21 to 38, gives us a tremendously meaningful reflection or insights into what it means to be a disciple of Christ. When you really think of it, we all call ourselves disciples of Christ in different forms. One can say, I'm a disciple of Jesus because I'm born Catholic, I practice my faith, I go for my novenas, I go for my masses, I am someone who wants to follow Jesus, and I am a disciple. And also sometimes in a very special way, those in religious life, whether you are male or female, reverend sisters, reverend fathers, reverend brothers, we call ourselves being called. Now, if you step back and ask ourselves, what do you mean by saying that you are called? Do you know what you're talking about? Now, when you read the liturgy of the word, especially the first reading from the book of Isaiah, we know one important reality. That is, Isaiah was a powerful disciple, a man who was able to challenge his own people, awaken their spirit, lead them with wisdom, and his work is still standing out even today. Now, the reading tells us how he found his calling. Now you can see that when he says he knew that his calling was deep from his own inner self. And that is why when he says, the Lord called me from the womb, from the body of my mother, he named my name. So now you can see that the very words that Isaiah speaks of gives us an indication that he was a man who knew what his calling was. Not necessarily from an external sense of saying I am being called, but even to say that this calling comes from the Lord who is my life, the Lord who is calling me to this vocation. Now, if you read that text and also compare it with the gospel passage today, we can see that Jesus, obviously at the Last Supper, he is encountering two of his disciples whom he had chosen but did not know what it means to be a disciple in every sense of the word. Now there are two disciples. One is Judas Iscariot, whom he challenges, whom he says, all right, you go ahead and do what you want to do. Do it quickly, he says, knowing very well that he was going to betray him. One of the important realities of life is that people can say that I'm called to a certain way of, I'm called to be married, I'm called to be single, I'm called to be a priest or a nun, but not knowing very much how shallow it is, because Judas was a disciple, never realizing that what his calling was from the depth of his soul. Peter himself was a disciple. Now what you can see in the gospel passage is also when Jesus says, where I'm going, you cannot follow me now, but you shall follow afterwards. Peter says to Jesus, Lord, why cannot I follow you now? I will lay down my life for you. Now when Jesus hears Peter saying that, it's kind of like Jesus becoming kind of sarcastic. Will you lay down your life for me? And that betrays Jesus seeing the shallowness of what he said, because he was willing to lay down his life from the words of his mouth. But Jesus reflects back to him and says, I say to you, the cock will not crow till you have denied me 3 times. So what Jesus says is, you are saying that you are going to lay down your life for me, but you're not going to be able to live up to it because you're going to deny me 3 times in a few hours' time. So here you can see that Judas Iscariot and Peter, both of them did not know what their calling was from the depth of their souls. But at the same time, Jesus knew his calling. Why? His calling was something that he found from within when he went into prayer in the wilderness, when he spent time with the Lord, with the Father. He found his calling. Calling came from within, not from outside. So that is why we need to ask ourselves, and in fact challenge ourselves, especially as those who say that we are called. Do I really know what I'm talking about? Have I gone to the depth of my calling? Do I have an idea what it is, what it means to be a disciple? My dear friends, it was Carl Jung, the great psychologist. He says, those who do not see inside only dream of life, but those who look inside will begin to live. Because that means what he meant was that in life, if you do not find the calling, find the disciples, the discipleship, find the very life that we are called to live, we do not live our life to the full. It's just like being in a dream. In a dream, we see something, we do certain things, but it doesn't have depth. But it's only when you found your life, your discipleship from within yourself, that you can truly become a disciple in every sense of the word. Amen.